Hi, we're so excited about a book that we've written. We've been working on a book on relationships for about a year and a half now, and compiling a lot of stories and talking about how to bring wisdom to relationships and how to have a good relationship with anybody in your life.
Chris can say a year and a half, but really this book began about 5 years ago now.
Has it been 5 years? Oh my gosh.
But I guess the last year and a half it really started to take form because we used Syd Banks' tape, Thought in Marriage, as the framework. And that tape is just the most beautiful tape I think I've ever heard. And then we fill in with stories, real life stories, examples, giving human examples of what Syd was pointing to. And we now have a title, so we feel we can talk about it with the world. The title is The Secret of Love, Understand the Mystery, Unleash the Magic. I love the title.
Yeah.
And I have Chris to thank for that. We went through about 50 different titles, right?
Yeah.
At least, I think. And we were so close, but we knew it wasn't quite the one. And then it was like one or two words that, you know, and it's all true, right?
Right.
Understand the mystery, that's what the three principles talk about. That's what Syd brought into the world. And it changes relationships. It just helps people so much. So
people really know that there has to be something that can help. They come to marriage and family therapists like Lori and I, and they seek out maybe their minister at church, or they talk to their friends, but they're really looking to have a really nice relationship. And when things get rocky, it's like people don't know what happened. Because first I'm in love, and all of a sudden it's not there anymore, and I'm caught up in all this stuff that's happening, and usually we're thinking about the other person and how they're creating all that stuff. And what we're really helping people to see is that if anybody changes in a relationship and really changes in their level of understanding of how thought works and how the principles really work through each one of us, that relationships can transform, not back to what they were when you first fell in love, but even better than that, even deeper than that, so that you get the deep love of being with a person for years and years in your life, and the magic of just meeting somebody, because you're always seeing that person new. You're always coming to your own wisdom, which helps you to see everything you do as new. So we have some stories of our own in there, and we have stories of people that we've helped, and we've had stories of our peers and other counselors and people that have been able to transform their relationships by having a deeper understanding of the principles. So I think you'll like it. It's very lighthearted. It's not like a psychology book. It's
not at all.
It's just lots of good stories, and we hope that we've kind of, you know, focused on the things that most of us struggle with, and the little tricks of our mind, if you will, that can transform someone we love into someone that we don't love and we hate and we have all kinds of negative thoughts about. And then back to that beautiful person, because that's really all in us and how we see life. They say beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, but so is ugliness. And so when we're seeing things that aren't that ugly, we have to look to ourselves, not to them. And that's a big relief when people see that they don't have to try to fix this other person, because you can't do it. It's very hard, and it's very frustrating. So when you focus on yourself and realize that I can be in a better state of mind, then you start to see how the relationship transforms, yeah, Lori? Like you never really know what it's going to be like.
The stories that we have captured, just beautiful, beautiful stories. You know, to hear that somebody's been married for 50 years and they said there is no way they would be married at this point in time had they not learned what they learned about the principles. And, you know, in fact, people who were separated and had already started divorce proceedings absolutely turned their relationship around, that 50 years later, they could say they are now in a better relationship than they ever were. That's
Yeah.
astounding. So,
That's
you know, it's
astounding,
just
yeah.
such a privilege for us to be able to share that
Yeah.
information and those stories.
I think it's really hopeful too for people because, you know, the world, I think the divorce rate, at least in the United States, is like 60 to 75% of all marriages end up in divorce. Now, that's really like, even if it was 40%, that's unbelievable. But, you know, different studies, of course, have different percentages, but it's almost like divorce is, for some people, considered an option before getting married. So it's like, well, I can get divorced if it doesn't work out. And what this really brings is that hope that you don't have to like think that somehow, and you know, as you've been married for a while, it gets stale, or you get, you know, gets old, or you don't know how to keep the spice back, you know, in your relationship, because the spice of life is all inside, isn't it? It's not outside of us. And so when we stay engaged in that feeling of love and laughter and lightheartedness and really just seeing the best in each other, we're able to keep that alive, and your relationship continues to change because we really don't know each other. We just think we do.
Yeah.
And it's recognizing that that keeps you learning from each other, and I think that's one of the things that's really important in a relationship, is that we keep learning and changing and growing and just living in more beautiful feelings. You can't go wrong doing that.
Yeah. So really, that's what the book is about. You
Yeah.
know, we're helping people tap into this deeper place within them that's not all caught up in judgment and blame. And we just are looking so forward to having people actually read this book.
Yeah. So if you'd like to pick it up, take a look at it, and just let it sit with you. See what happens. Maybe you can find the magic in life.